I'll call the meeting to order. I'd like to begin by acknowledging that we are in Treaty 1 territory and the traditional homeland of the Métis Nation. I'll introduce the panel members first, and it's Kent Seelan to the far left, Ivan De Largo to my left. I'm Marcel Larondo. I'll be chairing. Our assessor today is Doug Stratton, and our administrative assistant is Katie Sutherland. We'll be hearing applications for revision of the assessment roll in accordance with the Municipal Act. The matters for which revision is requested have been described in each application. We'll limit the discussions to those matters. The statements that the applicants or the assessor make at this hearing are sworn testimony, and anyone speaking to the matter must be sworn in. Be advised that comparisons of assessment of properties are not considered evidence of market value by the Board of Revision. The Board of Revision is appointed annually by Council and is independent of it and the City Administration. It makes its decisions on the basis of the evidence provided at this hearing and issues a written order that will be mailed to all parties as soon as possible. Please note that the Board's decision with respect to an application may be appealed to the Manitoba Municipal Board if the matter pertains to assessed value or classification, or the Court of Queen's Bench if the matter pertains to an application of exemption from taxation. Should you wish to appeal, information on how to do so will be included with the Board order. With respect to the hearing process, I will confirm the matters to be addressed with each applicant following the swearing in. We will then have the assessor's testimony followed by questions that the applicant may have, and then the applicant's testimony followed by questions. Each side will have an opportunity to summarize if they wish. Once all the evidence about an application has been brought forward, the applicant may leave. The process will repeat for each item on the docket today. The session will close after all the applications have been heard, and the Board will deliberate in private and make its decisions. You will receive the order by registered mail as soon as possible. As information, all public hearings are recorded and will be part of the public record. And I'd ask if you have cell phones to please put them on silent. That's you guys too. First property we'll be dealing with today is 680 Manitoba. You're already here. Govinder, so.
Please state your name. Do you swear that the evidence you represent is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God? So you can swear on the Bible, or you can just affirm. Okay, stand please. Please state your name. Do you affirm that the evidence you're about to present is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? Yep.
So Doug, will the evidence that you're presenting will be for both years, 19 and 20, or is there a change in?
18 and 19, 2018 and 19, that was.
2018 and 19?
Yeah, it's all the same information, so
Okay.
it's repeating.
Let's go ahead with it.
Okay, 680 Manitoba, 14020595000. It's a bi-level infill in William White neighborhood, just over 1,000 square feet. At this point, to the best of our knowledge, the lower level is undeveloped. A couple washrooms and lot size approximately 3,500. All the comparables are in William White as well. Infills, bi-levels, so they're pretty, very much the same designs, the square footage in the 800 up to just over 1,000 square feet. A couple of them do have, 3 of them have basement finish, and washroom count varies as well. Pretty much the same. Comparable 4 has a detached double. Lot size is 3,000 to about 3,500 square feet. The sales, the actual sale price, I won't go through the time adjusted, 223,000 to 265. We have the property assessed for 2018 and 19 at 245,000, and it fits into the range of sales that have occurred. There's some higher, some lower. Fits into the range, and same information applies for 18 and 19. Thank you.
Okay, do you have any questions of the assessor?
No, like you mentioned, there's a few properties that, like two of them have finished basements and which, I think they would go,
I'll just stop you for here.
Yeah.
No questions though, right?
well,
Just
that
make
was,
your
that was a
presentation.
question, so it's like, we only have one property here to compare
Yeah.
to that's non-finished basement.
Okay. Do you have any questions, Ken?
I don't.
Ivan?
No.
And I've got none. On with your presentation.
So
Okay.
you have some stuff in there?
Yeah, I don't know if this is relevant, but I made copies of like already like costs.
Okay,
you know,
do you
whatever
have,
they did. There's, yep,
Okay.
but at the end here is my listing and then
Okay.
everything in the order.
So 1, 2, 3, 4. Oops.
Thank you.
Thank you. When you're ready.
Okay. Yeah. Like you can see in your copies, I have, second from the last, it's all the listings that, after I purchased the house in 2017, that was, that was old house, we demoed it, and we rebuilt on that one. So in 2018, we listed it according to looking at the, properties in the neighborhood, like, from the city's assessment there. About 249, and then, no luck with that. After a while, we dropped it to 244 and down to 239. And in this process, I was changing realtors too and all that. We tried advertising like a few other ways and everything. So got it down to 236, then 224, and finally, after a struggle with the market here, and I sold it last year in November for 209. And even that price, it was listed there for that price for quite a while, for a few months there. And I got lawyer's statement of adjustment there for the proof there for the sale price. And yeah, I know the properties here we are looking at. The last one, it was 2013. That was unfinished basement and was sold in for 223. But ever since then, I guess market's tough. And if you look. New builds in that area and neighborhood there, it's like everybody's having a hard time selling the houses there, so I think the value is not there for the property.
Questions, Doug?
Just correct me if I'm wrong, are you the owner of the property?
Not anymore, like I sold it in November, but I owe the taxes on that one, like for the bad assessment.
Did you get a letter from the owner at all, authorization?
Well, when I filed this, I was the owner at that time, when I filed the board revisions. The property wasn't sold at that point.
Okay. You mentioned the comparables as applied, that was the sale prices, you felt the values were worth that amount, and it's gone down since, do I understand correctly?
Well, not even the sale prices. I was looking for, you know, pulling up the houses and city's property assessment, like what the properties were assessed at, and I was just basing on that. And then I thought that 249 is a realistic price, but you won't really know until you get in the market and try to sell the product out there.
Right. Are you aware that the reference date is April 1st, 2016? For the 2018, 2019 appeals that occurred, are you aware that the reference date is April 2016 for these assessments? The assessed value we have is $245,000. We're saying it was, even though it didn't exist, we still have to assess it at the 2016 value. And if I understood correctly, you felt the sales that I supplied, that's what they were going for at that point? Like the 2015, 2014 sales?
That, you provided, or I?
That, you made a comment about my sales comparisons. I
Oh,
think.
yeah, like that, the last one that we were comparing to, that's unfinished basement, that was sold in, that's built in 2013, but sold in 2015, right? So it's like 3 years ago. I don't know how the market was at that time, but.
Right, okay. When you owned the property, did you do any improvements prior to the sale?
Well, it's a brand new built house on that one.
Was the basement developed?
No.
Okay, there's no other questions.
Ken,
So you're a builder?
Yeah, that was my first go at it, you know, for trying to build and everything. I do own like other investment properties, but we try to build, I guess, learned my lesson, but picked the wrong neighborhood. And then I'm at a loss at this one, like quite a bit. So that's what I was like, you know, myself, my realtors, everybody, we tried hard to sell it. That's what we thought, you know, looking at other cities' assessments and everything. But yeah, nobody entrusted out there paying that much for these properties.
So this was a brand new house when you sold that?
Oh, sorry, what's that?
This was not lived in brand?
No,
new
it was
house?
brand new house, yeah.
Okay. So my questions, Mr. Chair?
Ivan,
Yes, so how long did you own that property?
I bought it in 2017, like close to the end of it. I think it was December, something like that. And then I sold it in 2019. But it took about a year or less than that to build, and it took us more than a year to sell it.
So that value, 2017 at 67,000 must have been just for,
Old house. That was torn down.
did you do any work or take any permits out?
Yeah, there was permits for demolition permit, and then there's,
So about
new
how much,
house.
about how much money did you spend?
For demolition, I paid about $12,000 for the demo, plus, of course, there was asbestos, so about $6,000 to take the asbestos out, and then, of course, permits and everything. By the time it was ready to build, I think I was in it for about $90,000.
It's all-
okay, so is this his number? Hmm? Shouldn't be there. It's showing here in his name, so when he applied for it, it wasn't his name.
Right, yes, I agree.
November when? November 6th, 2019? No, you can't see it.
And then
You shouldn't have been able to appeal it because you sold it
November 15th.
November 15th,
Yep.
and they took possession when?
15th.
They took possession on the 15th?
Yep.
But when did you actually sell it?
And that was the date. That was the day of possession. And that, until that day, the property was under my name.
So November 15th.
And that's the date on the statement of adjustment from my lawyer. It says, adjusted as of, that's the date that the property was sold.
November 15th. You applied on November 6th. Technically, you're still in control of it when you appeal. Hmm? Usually you get a signature from When was it completed in 2018?
Let's go with my first listing. It was, I think about around August to September 2018. something like
August 2018?
that. Yep.
And if you don't mind, I'm gonna go back and forth between the two of you, Doug.
Yep.
So, the 2018 value, is that the tax that was owed for 2019?
No, the supplementary assessment. When the assessor did the assessment on the property, he made it effective August 1st, 2018. That was as of the date we used as completion. August 1st, 2018. So there would have been the property tax, the supplementary tax bill for 18, part of 18, and all of 19.
And all of 19.
Yeah. It would have been, for the first
6 months.
6 months, it would have been whatever the land value was, or probably the house wasn't
Yeah.
worth a whole lot.
Yeah, I think it was about 48,000 was assessed at till August. Which I confirmed with city, and then August 1st, they used that date. That was the date, that's when I called for the house completion and final inspection. So they took that date as the house is completed.
Just so I can, the people, the new owners took possession October 15th, did you say?
November 15th.
November 15th. And the application,
November 6th.
okay.
A bit of a technicality.
Yeah, no, that's fine. It just, if there is an adjustment, there's only one name on the title now. That's where anything's gonna go to.
That's correct. That's why I'm having a problem.
Yeah. Well, they might be happy. The new owner.
Yeah, I don't, I mean, I don't care about what they get, but they can fight on their own, but I'm just fighting for, you know, what I owe, and then that's it, yeah.
I do have to ask, was there any kind of, was it a clean sale, or is it somebody you knew that bought it?
No, it was a clean sale, and like I said, went through 3 realtors that posted, and then the 4th one who tried off the market or whatever, and he gave up pretty much. He's like, yeah, he's wasting my time for that price to put it on the market. So.
I've got no further questions. Doug, do you have anything information that you want to say?
No, thank you.
Anything information?
No, that's all I have.
Leave it with us, and you'll be hearing from us.
All right, thank you.
I do have to say, the other difficult part is your sale is post. We're not supposed to use post sales as evidence. When was the first listing?
That was,
I
I think it's just on there.
Is it in there?
Was that in 2018? Like I said, just after it was completed.
August of 18.
Yeah.
And then you listed it again.
Oh, yeah, I don't even remember, it's all the dates are there when I try to drop the price, and then change the realtor, drop the price again, and then
We'll go through the information.
all that.
Okay. Thank you very much.
All right, yeah, thank you for your time.
Have a good day, Govinder.
Yep.
Thank you.
Govinder, that'll conclude the matter for both the 18 and the 19 then, correct?
Yep, I see my name is on.
Yeah, we just gotta read the second one in though. Right? Do we need it read again? For 19?
It's,
I can read off the.
Yeah, read it off.
it's the exact same.
Yeah, same thing.
Yep,
You're good to go.
all right, thank you for your time.
Go ahead, Doug.
Okay, so 2019 supplementary 680 Manitoba, roll number 14020595000. And the assessment based as a reference date, April 1st, 2016, 242,000. I request it be maintained.
Okay, thank you, Doug. That'll conclude that matter. Let's just move on to the next file, which will be 94 East Plains Drive.
Can I sit up with my daughter?
You may,
Thank you.
and you'll have to be sworn in if you're saying anything.
Oh, right.
try and get a father not to say anything.
So you guys, sworn in Bible or just? Yeah, I do. Okay, so please state your name. Jana Lee O'Hara. Do you affirm that the evidence you are to present is true, nothing but the truth? I do. You?
Cameron Fair.
Do you affirm that the evidence you are to present is the truth, whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
Mr. Strachan, when you are ready, sir.
'94 East Plains Drive, roll number 060934619110. It's a new house in Sage Creek, bungalow, just under 1,700 square feet. At this point, our records show there's no basement development, a couple washrooms, and an attached garage. Lot size, just over 6,400 square feet. All the comparables are in Sage Creek as well. Trying to narrow it down. Bungalows, the ages 2012 to 2017. Again, I had to take the April 1st, 2018 was the base date, so I couldn't review sales past that date. Area is pretty close, high 15s up to just under 1,700 square feet. 2 out of 4 of the properties do have basement development, washroom count, either 2 or 3 washrooms. Very much the same features. One of the comparables, one out fireplace, and they all have double attached garages. You'll see the lot sizes similar. Just one of them is comparable 3D, so it's a larger lot. There's influences applied to all the properties, corner lots. Comparable 3 is the bus road, traffic on Wildflower. Sale prices, 2016 and 17, 437 up to 495,000. With the property valued at 482,000. Again, some of the sales are higher, some lower. Just pointing out that it's in the range of sales that occur in the neighborhood. Thank you.
Do you have some questions of the assessor?
I'm just wondering, since there were other Sterling-built homes that were sold at that time that were comparable to ours, I'm just wondering why you didn't use those ones.
In the with a number of appeals going on, I didn't look at it's kind of difficult, the time and resources to search every property, builder, that sort of thing.
Right.
It's database, information, try and narrow it down as close as possible, square footage, lot size. Builder, it's not in the records to help to arrive at sales comparisons at this point.
Okay. I do have.
Any other questions? Oh, I think your dad might have some questions.
so.
No questions? Then see if, Kent, do you have any questions of the assessor?
No, I don't, Mr. Chair.
No? Ivan?
Yeah, what is the average increase yearly now? What numbers are you facing? 3%?
I don't have the breakdown for each neighborhood, but it was around that mark. It's more of an average amount, but each neighborhood it has been different for the last reassessment, depending on St. Boniface versus Charleswood. There is a range, but average-wise, I don't know if there's.
I thought you supplies the real estate people supplying an average.
Average,
over the year.
I think it was around 3%.
Yeah.
Some
I just
areas
wanted to
were
confirm.
average-wise.
Okay, thank you.
On with your presentation.
Please have some stuff.
just have two more fast questions.
Oh,
Sorry.
you can ask them while we're handing out the stuff.
Okay. So you used 43 Wildflower as one of your comps? I'm just wondering, thank you. On your comp here, it says it doesn't have a finished basement, but it does have a finished basement.
Sorry, your house, or which one did you mention?
Your comp 43 Wildflower?
Okay.
And that was confirmed by the homeowner that it is finished.
Yeah.
Okay. I have to go for an inspection. Was that prior? Sorry, go ahead, I'll ask questions.
And just another thing, I know you don't have any control over this, but none of the comps run a cul-de-sac. And that makes a bit of a difference for us because we're on a cul-de-sac. And I know, but I guess that kind of goes in with what you said about you don't really go through everything.
Yeah, I understand
Yeah.
what you're saying. Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's go on with your presentation.
Yeah, okay. So we looked through everything, like through the sales data sheets, and we just kind of thought that, you know, the most comparable ones that we saw were actually Montera built plans, like Sterling built plans. They're the same as ours. So those are the ones that we chose. And those sales indicate, like, let's see, 19 Borealis sold for $446, and it's the same house plan as ours.
Are we on page 1 or where are we at?
We're here, I'm looking at this one.
They're not, I guess they're not numbered, are they? Show me that again.
This one, it's just a summary.
Oh, some, probably at the back.
No, it's more at the front. Sorry, I
I'll
didn't
find
number
it.
the pages.
We just want to follow you here so that we... There it is. Okay, I've got it.
Yeah. So 19 Borealis is the same plan, everything is ours, but they have a finished basement, and it sold for $446, $442. So we thought that was a good comparable.
Do you have the date of the sale?
Yeah, August 2017. And same with 90 Dragonfly. It's a little bit smaller than ours, not very much, but it sold for $419,999 in August 2016. Number 2, Pintail, sold for $403,850, July 2016. And 43 Wildflower, which is actually the comp that the assessor used, sold in March 2017 for $437,477. So, I don't know, we just feel that our assessed value of $482 is high, considering those, like, these are the same houses, the same plans that mine is.
This is a note on that fourth comparable. The city changed it from a unfinished basement to a finished basement and increased the assessment by $56,000. But the home was sold with the finished basement for $437,000. I guess we feel with newer homes, the finished basement does make a fair bit of difference on the value. If it's an older, lower level development, not so much, but if it's done in a newer home, we think it does have a fairly significant amount of value.
Now, we did go through
I can't remember, I think it was Selena, the other assessor that gave us different comps to go through, so we did actually go through a bunch of different comps. I have them here, we did like an analysis and everything on them too, but they're different than Mr. Strachan's. So I don't know if we
Which
should
page
go
are they
through
on?
those.
We didn't include them.
No, we didn't
No,
include it.
oh, no.
What we did do though is we did look at all four comparables and try and compare the pluses and minuses on each property, and we assigned a value for each one of them, and came up basically with what we thought was the adjustment value, and we used the time adjusted sale price as our base. And the four comps came up with an adjusted value of between $406,000 and $431,000. So that's allowing for things like Jan's house has got 17 feet street frontage, whereas the other ones are all 45 to 50. And it is pretty tight, like there's no place to pile snow in the winter, for example. So that, as an example, that's what we thought was, that did make a material difference or influence on the property area. We also compensated for a difference in the house sizes. The basement finishing, we only used $15 a square foot, whereas the city apparently, had indicated $56,000 on a 1,1600 square foot house. But anyway, it came out that basically that was the range, and so we felt, that being the case, that Jan's house should assess it somewhere around $425,000. Which is well within the range, probably towards the upper end of it.
Doug, questions?
Did I understand correctly that you feel being on the pie-shaped lot is a negative influence?
Well, yeah, just for our street frontage, like, if we have our garbage outside, like on garbage day, like, we have to move it over to get out of the driveway. Like, we only have 17 feet to be able to, like, there's really not a lot of frontage.
There's no on-street parking, for example. There's
Yeah.
2 on-street parking sites on this end of the street for 14 houses. So there's no on-street parking. There's no place to pile the snow. And it is very, very minimal amount of street frontage. So we think it does definitely have a negative effect on the valley. You see, none of the other comps are on cul-de-sacs. So we felt there should be an adjustment for that. It's a fairly minor one, I think we're only suggesting something like $5,000 as being the difference for the absence of street parking, and $7,000 for the much lower street frontage.
Did you have the house built or purchased
We
it?
built it.
Built it, okay. When you decided to build it, were you aware of the results of the small frontage, narrow frontage?
No, I didn't know that it would be really, really narrow like that. Yeah. You can even see, like, on the picture, I gave you guys a picture, one of the first ones, how narrow the driveway is.
What we've also done is we've indicated what the negative land influences are and what the negative property influences are, and that's summarized just behind the site plan. For example, it does back onto Plessy Road. It's a gravel road, it's noisy, it's dusty, and there's also overhead hydro lines.
Okay, I have no other questions.
Ivan?
Yeah, I'm looking at the sale with 2018. Was that you people that bought it at that time?
One question before they say that. What was the date you bought it on?
Like when we moved in,
Mm-hmm.
we moved in April 16th, 2018.
Do we call that post, or is that,
Probably the sale price, my assumption, the sale price was agreed upon before that, the reference date. The reason it wouldn't have shown up on the sales, once we get, usually land title takes, I don't know, I'll say a month, 3 weeks to a month before it's processed, so we wouldn't have seen it till past the possession date. When they take possession, land titles takes a while before we get.
but it's still a post sale?
Yeah, would be. Yeah, when the official title changes hands, that's what we would consider the
Yeah, so
possession date.
an official title was probably a month or 2 months after that.
Yes.
So we shouldn't even be looking at that 480 is what I'm saying. You put the sale value there.
Let's see on mine, I have it scratched out of mine, so I'll just say.
It's not scratched out on this one.
Yeah.
So you're not
That's-
gonna
that's
pay attention to that item.
No, it's, it would have been close.
Yeah,
That's one of our questions as well, is why would we use that?
Yeah.
I'm sure they'll say they didn't.
Oh,
Do you have any other questions, Ivan?
No.
Ken?
Question, you back onto Plessy Road?
Yeah,
What's the traffic?
yes.
Yes?
Yeah, it's quite high speed too.
It is. Hey, what's the speed limit then?
I think gravel roads, I think it's like 100 or something.
What's
As
it,
far as I
gravel
know,
road?
yeah, like it's really.
Municipal road.
It's municipal, yeah.
Speed limit's kind of whatever you can get away with.
Oh, okay, sorry.
Our CMP don't, you know, watch that road at all, so.
Mr. Chair, can I read the question?
Sure you
Yes, sir.
can.
Just a question with respect to Plessy Road behind. I noticed there's nothing for land. It's like, unless you have idle lines, you have corridors, you have medium traffic, you have bus routes.
Yeah, at this point, we haven't, how far away from like your back fence, how far
It's right
butt
there.
against?
Yeah,
Okay.
it's right, we have a ditch and fuzzies.
I'll have to, let's get back to the office, we'll take a look at that.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. That's my questions.
That's your questions, eh? So the closest one is that 43 Wildflower, because it's 2017 built, correct?
Yeah,
The
yeah.
only difference here is it has a basement when it's sold at this price
Yes,
of 450.
Finished basement.
yeah.
So there'd be an adjustment there, wouldn't there, on that one then, if there was a basement in it? Because the city,
Yeah, that's, when that value was calculated to, whatever, I didn't look to see what the assessment was for 43 Wildflower. When we calculated whatever the assessment is, it was considered there was no basement development. We were unaware of that, possibly no permits, I'm not sure. I can't.
Good question.
sure, we're going a little informal here.
Oh, okay.
Go ahead.
You know, the city did change it from, they did change the assessment on it. They changed the unfinished basement to a finished basement.
Do you have that paper there? Is it in
Yes.
here?
Yeah, it is, it's the last,
look at that.
yeah, right there,
The last page.
yeah.
One, then they reassessed it at 483,000.
Right.
Mhm.
And we have a previous one that the city provided us with saying that it was an unfinished basement and the assessment was 427. So that's where you get the $56,000 difference.
It's more the sale that I'm looking at, I can't look.
Oh, I
Yeah,
understand, I
yeah,
understand
yeah,
completely,
sure.
yes, completely, yeah.
So there was a sup issued on this one as well? correct?
Yeah, there would have been. I'll take the word that the balance, I didn't look at supplementaries.
Okay. think that concludes my questions. Thank you very much for your presentation.
Thank you.
And you did real well, Dad.
I don't think it is easy.
I'd have been all over it.
Thank you.
Nice weekend.
You did.
That concludes that matter. Mr. Chen, you're up next. And Ms. Chen. We.
So do you just confirm or? Please state your name.
Rachel.
Do you swear that the evidence you're presenting today is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, and help us out? Thank you.
Subject property of
Okay.
104 Landover Drive, correct?
Correct.
Can you take, so I can make some copies?
Sure, let's take
Yeah.
5 minutes.
5 minutes, yeah.
Call the meeting back to order. Sorry about that, we just needed some copies.
Thanks.
Back when you're ready.
Bill number 0304-2999035-104 Landover Drive in Bridgewater Trails. It's a two-story side-by-side, approximately 1,500 square feet. It's got the walkout basement to the retention. 3 washrooms. At this point, our records show there's no basement development. And single attached garage, 2,800 square foot lot. There is traffic along Landover. We put the traffic influence on it, and it's with the walkout basement. That's the result of the retention. There's been sales going on, other sales on Landover, but they're post-reference, so there was one that was comparable number 1, very close. You'll see at the bottom, it's sold March 2018, so I was able to supply it. 2-story, bi-level, very much the same features, washroom counts, garage, slightly lower lot size. It's got the walkout basement as well. March 2018, pretty close to the reference date, 380,000. Otherwise, I had to go to the further north, the older area of Bridgewater, further 2-story side-by-sides, 2014, 15, 16. One of them, comparable number 2, doesn't have a walkout basement. Similar square footage, lot size very close. It sold for $333,000, again March 2018. The other 2 comparables, again they're to the north of the subject, 2-story walkouts, 2-story side-by-sides, they have walkouts. These ones are larger, 1,700 square feet, larger lots. On comparable 4 Park West, there's quite a bit of traffic on that one. So we've applied the medium traffic as well as Park East. Due to the size, the economy of scale, they did sell for a lower rate per square foot, resulting in a higher their sale price, but the age, the properties are 3 years older. So there's the range. So we have the 2020 assessment, 394,000, and the sale, I believe, was post-reference, so it hasn't been supplied. Thank you.
Do you have any questions of the assessor? Ivan? Ken?
No, Mr. Chair,
Thank you, sir. Will the number one be probably your best comparison?
Yes, it's
Almost.
very, very close.
It's,
Pretty much
Yes.
the same features, the only difference, smaller lot size, but very comparable.
both have the retention pond, well, they're very close to each other.
Yeah, very close. Yeah, just the further to the, on my map I supplied it,
Yeah, one's the last unit by the looks of it. And
offhand, I can't confirm that.
looks
I
well-
thought we would have had it labeled as an end unit, but I'm sure the owner can confirm that.
Okay. We'll let you put it forward.
House listings to list. First of all, I bought this house back to September 2018. The price I bought it was $349,000. Then the second one is when I received the supplementary notice, I just pay close attention to the house close to me, see what's the listing price and then what's the sales price. So I confirmed with one of the selling agent, the 168 with the same floor plan and then no basement finished, was sold 373 last year, summertime. And another one was sold recently, but a little bit bigger. It's 121 square feet, bigger than mine. And 152 Landover Drive is was listed at 379,000. So and also I checked the show home is posted on the signature homes. The address was 24 Landover Drive, the same floor plan, and then they have lots of upgrades on the house, and the property assessment is cheaper than mine, $1,000 cheaper. So they have upgrade floorings, backslash, countertops, porous countertops, and fireplace. I confirmed with some the agents. They have something else. I couldn't know how much it is, but closely probably around 20,000 upgrades. But I don't have any upgrade in my house.
And that's it for your presentation?
Yeah.
You have some questions, Doug?
On your first page, you supplied some sales. What was the date? Sales date?
The
September
first one, I believe is summertime last year.
September 2019.
Yeah, and the 152 Landover Drive was recently, probably 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, we're using anything prior to April 1st, 2018.
Oh, okay. Oh, okay.
Something like you're saying.
Have you had any improvements since you purchased, such as the basement, the lower level? Have you improved it at all?
It's not been approved. I have a picture of the home. Like this, there's a picture of the show homes from the website. The other one is mine. There's no update.
But you don't show a basement finish.
Oh no, it's not finished.
Yes, so what number were you looking for?
I think it's around 370, because the selling price close to this 168 is exactly the same floor plan. They don't have any, they don't have, oh, actually they have countertops and the upgrade floor.
Ken?
Is the retention pond behind your house? Yeah, right behind your house? Yes? Okay, so you have a walkout basement retention pond. And just look at this really quickly here. That's all my questions, Mr. Chair.
You wouldn't happen to, well, you do have 48 land overdrive here. And your basement is finished in that one. You've got the sale.
Yes. Yep. For 48,
But you've got basement not finished.
correct.
But on your city assessment, it's showing as basement finished.
No, basement, yes, basement finish, no.
Oh, no, oh, I'm sorry, I'm reading it wrong. Thank you for correcting me. So this one would be pretty comparable with yours, would it not? 48 Landover?
Yes, I'm just printing comparables with this, but I forgot to print the 168. Yeah, but I confirmed with the agent, so it was last year.
No, but last year doesn't count because it's got to be prior to April 1st, 2018. So the one that falls into it is that 48
Oh,
Landover. But that's now not.
it's gonna affect the future, right?
Well, your property is an end unit, is that correct?
I'm sorry.
Is it an end unit, yours? It's the last one in the row?
No, it's not. Oh, yeah, actually the second.
The second one.
Yeah.
Okay, you're still okay. And the other one is an inside as well. See, using the sale of that one, the sale numbers on that was 380,000. On that 48 Landover. And that's the adjusted price up to April 1st, 2018, is that not correct?
Yes. In this case, very nominal value between March
Yeah.
and April 1st.
Well, $14,000. Do you see that one on his sheet? And I've got no further questions. Leave it with us, and you'll be hearing from us. Thank you very much. Next property up will be 150 Tenant 8. Not here? We're going to set that aside for now. Thank you. We're going to move to 63 Valley Brook Road.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Doug, when you're ready. You must have been using the other office printer or something.
Throw me in.
Okay. So, can say your name.
Lauren Sector.
Do you find the item to represent the street and nothing further?
I do.
Thank you very much.
I have these as well.
Okay.
And I apologize for only having brought 3 copies of this. I don't know if
We can
one
share.
can be shared.
We can share it. Make sure it doesn't get booked.
Yeah,
They can share it with me after.
thank you.
When you're ready, Doug.
The 3 Valley Brook Road, bill number 03093000190. This is a vacant residential lot. Zoning in that, in the Valley Brook, the Bridgewater Trail. You see the zoning R1M with a single family. The lot size approximately 11,000. The comparables, they're all in Bridgewater Trails. Same zoning, lot sizes are, majority of them are less. Comparable number 3 is also 11,000 square feet. All of the lots are on the retention as well, or the retention pond influence. You see the sales 2017 and 2018. The sales ran from 187 up to 267 for the larger lot comparable number 3. Similar area as the subject property. So the variety of sales that have occurred fairly close to the reference date. I requested the assessment of 199,000 be maintained. Thank you.
Any questions of the assessor?
Yes, just what other, I noticed that there's, and this is the first time I've been here, so I don't know what other types of influences there would normally be on a property in that area. Could you just let me know what other influences there might be? Because I see you've got retention pond, influence retention pond adjacent. But are there other things, like while I was sitting here, I heard questions like width of the sort of the frontage, whether a property is backs onto the lake or you can see the lake from the house, if those are sort of have different impacts on valuations.
I guess for your property, the only influence is the proximity to the retention, same as the comparables I supplied. The frontage, generally, it hasn't been found that it's a judgment call. Somebody might want a narrow or very large pie-shaped lot. They don't care about the frontage, they want the backyard. So that, it's kind of a toss-up. We can't, there's been no sales evidence to know whether or not the frontage is, or in some of these cases, the rearage is a major influence. Other examples, traffic. Traffic influences commercial if you reside in an apartment block or a retail, some sort of commercial property. If there's a variety of influences that haven't been applied to properties in this area.
Okay. And are you, for the comparable number 3, which is quite a bit higher, I see, are you aware of the influences that comparable had? Because I see it's the same size, but approximately the same size, but it backs right onto the lake. It fronts onto the sort of the fountain that is the centerpiece of that area.
Right, that's where there's the influence, in that case, is retention pond adjacent. That means it's right on the lake, whereas in your case, retention pond influence, your property doesn't back onto it. There's probably a strip between your property and the actual, the retention, so it's not, that's why we call it an influence. Some people, that's one area where people seem to, they want to live by the retention or right on the retention, so.
Get the benefit of the Canada geese and the mosquitoes.
Free fertilizer, stuff like that.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Ken, questions?
No questions, Mr. Chair. Thank you. No questions.
Just right, this is an empty lot,
Yes,
that's all.
And this is in Bridgewater,
correct.
and this is 2 years. Correct?
Which is,
It's 2 years ago you purchased the property?
no, it was purchased in July of 2019.
Have they started construction on it, or?
Just February. It's got, right now it's got it was excavated, I think it has the piles and the foundation poured. That's it.
I've got to ask the question, what? Yeah, I'd like to ask him that. You've also put liability on your appeal. Were you appealing the liability on it?
You know what, when we talked, I'm not sure. When we talked to the people when it was filed, we were told, is the liability question whether or not we're responsible?
No.
Liable for the taxes, is that the question?
No, no liability is. I'm just surprised it's transferred over to you already. The land's already been transferred to him?
Yes, there's a copy of the, I think, status of titling.
It doesn't, oh, that's it. I got it now.
I don't know that I do.
You don't have to pay as high a fee to the province when you'll be paying it on your land,
No,
not on the
no.
house.
Oh, the land transfer?
Yes.
Yes.
Your land transfer will be paid on the
Yeah,
lot,
yeah.
which is,
The offset is that you pay taxes.
but what surprises me is that they actually allowed it in Bridgewater.
Oh,
So the liability, if you, explain to me what the liability is.
Liability, if the property is owned by there's a variety of liability issues. If it's owned by
Non-profit,
non-profit,
school,
school,
then you take it.
there's a variety, if it's owned by, if you want some interesting reading, there's a Municipal Assessment Act. It shows all the guidelines that, regarding liability, a variety of properties that are considered, that they're not liable for taxation. Also in the legislation, when it comes to liability, it's up to the property owner to supply that information. If that's still a question, otherwise.
well, what happened, it's Ms. Musarski that is the owner. And I have a note on the application form that says she spoke to Carol or Kara, and she suggested Xing that box off liability to taxation. So I don't know if that was because of the dates involved or some other reason.
Anyway, it shouldn't have been ticked off.
Oh. Okay.
Did she give you signing authority? Yes? Hmm? So if you can have him withdraw that liability portion.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, did you want to
Yes.
withdraw it? I can-
Well, if it pertains, as you say, to
Yeah.
other,
I'll
like
fill
to
out a form here.
charitable
I'll just
group
get
to the
this signed.
hospital.
So anyway, this property was purchased already. We can't use the purchase price because it was purchased after April 1st, 2018.
Even though it's that close? Well, that is the date that the builder bought that property from the Manitoba Housing and Renewal
Right.
Corporation. Presumably the price,
What date did you buy it off of him?
July of 2019.
Yeah, so that's
So that,
after. And we can't use the price that he bought it off of others.
the,
We'll get to your presentation, and then we might have some more questions for you.
okay.
Let's go on to your presentation.
Well, the presentation is pretty much all dealing with events, I guess, that took place post April 1st, 2018. It was the option agreement between Manitoba Housing and Renewal Corporation and KDR, the assignment of that agreement to Ms. Masarski, the signing of the construction and lot transfer agreement in July of 2019, and then the a revised statement of adjustments, that was for the purchase that was done in November of 2019, and then the status of title. So all of those indicate the purchase price at $165,000. And we were looking at these properties, I guess, through the end of 2018 and the beginning of 2019. That property was listed at $165 at that time, prior to April 1st, 2018, prior to the purchase. There were other lots, and I guess I would submit that a lot that has a wider frontage and a wider front building width would be, and that backs onto a lake, as opposed to this lot, as you can see, backs onto a sidewalk. It has a view of the lake, about maybe a quarter of a mile off the back of the house, but it doesn't back onto a lake. It backs onto the walkways that run through Bridgewater. It's called a partial walkout, so it's got a retaining wall in the backyard. And I don't know if that's a typical influence or not, but that reduces, I would think, the value of the eventual house that gets built on there. So there are, and again, as noted previously, that it's not on a cul-de-sac, but it's on a road that bends at that corner, giving it less room for parking, less room for snow removal. So I think there are a number of negative influences that impact that property, that don't impact the properties that the assessor has used as comparables. All of those, I would say, back right onto the lake, which the subject property doesn't. They all have available parking in front. The one on Rose Lake Court backs onto the lake, but also fronts onto the fountain that is the attraction for the community. And those are, I would say, if those are all valid comparables, then the price that was listed for this house at $165, and that was paid for it a year and a half later, is the value that it should be assessed at. There are properties, I didn't bring a list of properties, but there are properties at 212 and 228 Willow Creek that are down the street from the ones that the assessor has used that are listed at $178,000. Again, they back onto the lake, have a wider front. 635 and 735 Bridge Lake are also backing right onto the lake and are listed at, one is at 173,000 and one is at 178,500. So those are, again, possibly more desirable because they do back right onto the lake as opposed to backing onto the sidewalk, which 63 Valley Brook does. Again, the rest of the presentation really all deals with the value of the property as of April 10th. That's the only proof that was tendered as to a price at that time. So those are, and the same with, in terms of the comparables that were used, I've compared them in the City of Winnipeg plan that was provided along with the, from the assessor today. And they all have wider fronts, they are all on the lake. As I noted, the one on Rose Court is on the lake and has a view of the fountain. So all of those are, I'd say, less comparable than some of the ones that could have been used, possibly. That is all I have.
Mr. Chair.
Oh, sorry, I was just gonna say, so what, the asking, or the assessed value that we're asking for is the 165.
Doug?
If I understood correctly, is there a new dwelling being constructed right now?
Yes.
Okay. Any estimated completion date?
September, I believe. They poured the foundation, piles foundation, that's where they're at now.
Okay, I have no other questions.
Ken?
No questions, Mr. Chair?
And none for these.
So there is a lake behind it, just in a little corner. That's a sidewalk behind it then, or what?
Yes. Yeah, you can't access the lake from the gate, whereas the other homes that are used as comparables, you walk out the back gate. If there is a back gate. Some don't have fences. Some have a fence with a gate, and if you walk through the gate, you're at the lake.
Well, these are all steel fences, is that not correct?
Yeah.
They're put in by the developer.
Some kind of, aluminum or steel.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the subject property, you back out onto the sidewalk, and then you turn to the right, and then you have another sidewalk to cross over to get to the lake. So it's viewable, but it's not adjacent, if that's the word you use.
Thanks, you're building a two-story or one-story, right?
Well, it's a one-story beside a two-story, so what we're gonna,
Oh, you'll have shade.
what we're gonna see is another question. I just think there were comparables that were more comparable than the ones that we used.
So you're thinking it should be around that 165?
165 to 170.
These pictures doesn't mean much. I've got no further questions.
There's something to sign?
Yeah.
So
Hope you get in September
That's what I did.
2021.
Signature down here.
And date,
March 5th.
You can do it, you can slap me. I'm used to it.
That's it.
What do you want?
yeah.
Thank you all very
First
much.
time?
Yeah.
You're welcome.
Well done for the first time.
Very much.
Next time I'll know to bring 4 copies.
5.
Five.
Or 5. Even worse, okay, thank you.
Well, hopefully we don't have to see it after it's built, right? The next property on the schedule will be 72 Brooksmere Trail.
That's not mine, is it? Is this the
No,
sort of
that's-
stays there?
Have a seat, sir, and welcome. We're rapidly getting to the end here. And this one's got 2 for, we're doing 1819 again?
Oh, sorry.
Sorry.
Thank you.
So do you swear by it? Please state your name. Do you swear that the evidence you're about to present is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so
Yes.
help you God? Yes.
When you're ready, Doug.
Okay, this is 2018, 2019, same numbers, or same comparables.
And same number.
2018, 72 Brooksmere Trail, roll number 14100128580. It's a 2-story, single-family property built in 2018, 2,400 square feet, 3 washrooms, fireplace, just the standard features, attached garage, lot size 4,800. The 2018 assessment, 480,000. The comparables are all in Inkster Gardens as well. The Brooksmere Trail area it's a newer development. So all the comparables I supplied were built in 2014. Square footage, 22 up to 2,500 square feet. Full basement. No basement finish. Washroom count, pretty close. Fireplaces in a couple of the properties. You'll note that air conditioning exists in the 4 comparables. I'll assume, under the assumption that the central air has been installed in the subject property. And all have multiple double attached garages. Lot sizes, they're all larger. Newer developments generally with the little smaller lot size. So these are 54 up to 6,400 square feet. Sale prices, just in the between 500 and 537,000. We have the property assessed at 480,000, and that again applies for 2018 and 19. Sale price, or the sale record, 2017, that was the vacant lot sale. Thank you.
Questions of the assessor?
The comparables that it's used for the property, for the lot sizes, it's probably 1,000, over 1,000 bigger than my property. So, if you were used to the same lot size, would it be the same comparables?
The reason I couldn't supply sales for, like there has been sales in your area, as you're aware, that in that new development, the lots are smaller, but the sales occurred past the reference date of April 1st, 2018. So I had to go a bit further away to try and match the homes, the square footage, two-story. In the older area, the lots are larger. So that is one influence. As you can tell, by the look at the sale prices, people are paying more for a proper larger lot. You'll see that they're anywhere from 1,000 to 1,500 square foot difference in lot size, which would surprise me. That's why the sale prices are higher for those properties due to lot size. But we have assessed at 480, your property 480,000, which again, I wish I could find sales. Probably, I think there's a few right near on your street, some sales that have occurred. Same lot size, but again, post reference.
No other questions? Ivan?
No?
Ken, any questions of the assessor?
Sure. Where's the school?
It's right across, or behind you, isn't it? To the,
Yeah.
the school.
They're currently being built, I guess.
Okay, so you back onto a schoolyard? I'm sorry, you back onto a schoolyard?
I
Behind you?
didn't
A
know
field?
that it was.
He didn't know what it was when he bought
Oh,
it.
you didn't know when you bought it? Problems that.
It might not be, they haven't started building yet.
They started.
Oh, they started?
They've started?
Oh.
That's all my questions, Mr. Chair.
And I've got no questions. On with your presentation. Did you finish the presentation?
Yeah.
So like what the assessor said, I don't have like comparables that's kind of like would meet the exact or almost the same size as my property. But I looked at it when I bought it on September 2018. I bought it for the price of 450,000, and it's now 2020, and I'm still at this current in time fighting with the builder on some deficiencies that he has not finished yet. The inspection, the city inspection has not been completed as of February 20th, 2020, I believe. It's in the last. So my argument in this, my argument is that I bought it for 450. The reference date for the assessment was 2016. The assessment was 480, and I bought it for 450. Seems to be like, and it will
459.
or 459, yes, yeah, 459 including the upgrades that I have. Sorry, and mine was only like 450. So if I will reference back to 2018 and hearing the average rate of 3%, then it would have been lower than 450. And if I will compare, if I'm going to sell this price with those deficiencies that I'm still fighting for with the builder, then it would have been lower what I have paid for already. So in the attachments, I'm showing that I have complaint with Manitoba Builders Association, have complained already with my insurance, which at this point it has not been completed as of yet. The last page was only a text indicating that inspection would be coming. The city inspector would be coming on the 20th, which I just, to show that it has not been completed.
Anything else?
That,
Questions?
No questions, thank you.
Ken?
Okay, you bought this house in
September of 2018. Like our possession date was September 13 or September 18, or September 13, 2018.
2000.
18. It's a newer development. There's no other.
so you had the house built for
Yeah,
yourselves?
it was brand. It was built brand new at that time.
You for yourselves?
Yeah.
Okay, thanks very much. Mr. Chair,
Ivan?
any questions?
That inspection, the 20th, did it happen or,
Yeah, it did happen.
and
We were not supplied of what the inspection, what happened to the inspection. So, but prior to the 20th, the first inspection was January 2nd, which I also indicated in there, and noted some deficiencies with the city inspector. That's why I think he came back like 3 times after, 3 times.
so what number are you asking for? Do you feel is,
Yeah, 480 I feel is too high. So if I will reference it to 460, 2018 and 160, and then doing the math for 3%. So, for reference 200, 2016, I'm looking at 433, 433.
433? Let's say 460.
But if we're referencing 2018 assessment to 2016,
Yeah.
then and at the 3%,
Oh, off of the 460, you mean?
yes, out of the 460
So the 460 you're saying is for the 2019?
for the 2018, because that's what I
Yeah.
bought in 2018.
Yeah.
So if I reference it back to 2016 with a 3% valuation or
Yeah.
something, I'm looking at 433,000.
Okay.
But
Is that what you wanted to hear, Ivan?
that's it?
That's it? Who is the builder on this home?
it's in, I will not say it, but it's in the,
Vaison,
no, it's in the,
oh, Touchwood Homes Incorporated. And you've been in touch with them by letter and?
yes, like the materials there. There was an email, formal email to the builder, Manitoba Builders Association, to my insurance, like the first new warranty something to complete. the-
Are they still a member of the new home warranty?
I'm not sure. I think they're still. I'm still, when I was looking at the,
And Manitoba House, Manitoba Home Builders is not giving you any answers either?
the default was go to my insurance. And I was pounding the builder since we moved in, and it has been almost like 2 years.
Well, some of this the city should be looking into, because you can't have a deck without glass on it, somebody could fall through.
The deck has been done January 2020. So some of it has been done, but not all of it.
Now, you say basement's not finished according to this, your basement is finished then, I guess?
No, it's not.
No?
But we add like.
But it says washroom and basement does not have a light.
That's what the difference between 450, because we add like
In the washroom and the basement?
a washroom.
So there is a washroom in the
There's a
basement?
washroom in the
So
basement.
that's finished?
No, it's only the washroom, because it's hard for me, like it's hard to install a washroom with all those things,
So they installed the bathroom for you?
just the
So
bathroom.
the walls are up for the bathroom, but nowhere else?
No, yeah, it's.
Are you
it's-
working on it, or?
No, it's not. It's still bare. The basement is still bare.
Outside trimming on cab over is missing. What does
No,
that mean?
those are only like minor.
But that's been fixed?
No, not yet. But those
What
are.
is a stopper in the master bedroom?
Because we listed the deficiencies during the
The walkthrough?
walk-in,
Yeah.
and then we
And they fixed that?
no, they didn't, but I put it just as a stopper, so I just bought.
Are you at the
a-
1 year mark yet?
When I filed the complaint to warranty, I was barely few days away out from the warranty, so I'm still on the warranty.
But the deficiencies are supposed to be done in the first year,
That's what
according to the Home Builders Association.
That's kind of like the gist of my complaints.
And you're not hearing anything back from Touchwood Homes Incorporated?
Not exactly not hearing back, because the deck has been done. Some of it has been done, but it's not completely done. So it's like whenever it's appropriate to do one thing, if they feel they will do it, then they will do it. If not, then they will not.
Get a lawyer. Leave it with us
Thank you.
and really hear it. Thank you very much for your presentation. And then, oh, you want to read the second one on too, I guess?
Sure. So the 2019 roll supplementary assessment appeal, 72 Brooksmere Trail.
It's okay.
I have 2019, I forgot.
Yeah, it's all the same anyway.
It's all the same.
Yeah,
Yeah.
same, 2019, 100128580, and 2019 assessment is the same at 480,000. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. We'll move on to the next one, which will be 118 Silver Creek Road. Was it worth the wait?
I hope so.
Mr. Kilgore just going, we'll get there.
It's actually been interesting hearing everything. I feel like I'm learning a bit, so it's good.
That's usually the best way to do it.
Okay, so.
See what I do with my papers?
So, please say your name. Renee Ratzer. Do you affirm that the evidence you're about to present is the truth and nothing but the truth? Yes. And please say your name.
Travis Robertson.
Do you affirm that the evidence you're about to present is the truth and the truth and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
I don't have number 10. Oh, there it is. Silver Creek, when you're ready.
118 Silver Creek Road, 03092998730. It's another two-story side-by-side in Bridgewater Trails. 2018 was built 1,500 square feet, walkout. Features 3 washrooms, single attached garage, lot size just under 3,000 square feet, and it's got the retention, it's near the retention pond. Sales, I supplied, they're a bit further to the north east, because it was limited number of 2018 sales that occurred before April 1st, 2018. So I had to go to the further to the northeast. All two-story side-by-sides. They're all 1,500 square feet. These ones don't have the walkout basement. Just the regular basement development, or most of them don't have developments in that neighborhood as of yet. 3 washrooms, same features. A majority of the air conditioning. Comparable one does have a detached garage, whereas some of the other comparables don't have garages. Lot size, most of them around the 3,100 square feet. You see all the negative influences, commercial adjacent. Sale prices, they range from 313 up to 341,000. And we have the assessment 376,000 for the 2019 supplementary roll. Just taking into consideration, it's got the walkout basement, approximately 3 years newer. I had to take into consideration, so we requested the 376,000 be maintained. So that's for 2019. If you like, I can do 2020 at this point, or
You're using different properties? Or?
yeah, it'll be different sales comparisons.
Sure, we'll do both at the same time.
Again, 118 Silver Creek, 03092998730. Same features, 1,500 square feet walkout basement. Retention pond, 3,000 square foot lot. And the comparable number one is in Bridgewater Trails. It sold in March 2018. Fairly close, reasonably close to the several properties. Built 2018, sold March 2018, 1,500 square feet. It's got the walkout. Pretty close to same features. Lot size, but a bit smaller. It sold for 380,000 in March. Again, March 2018. And to find other homes that sold prior to the reference, again, I had to go into nearby Bridgewater Center, 2-story side-by-sides. These ones are higher, you'll note. Walkouts, 1,800 square feet. So they're not the best, but again, I tried to just to show some of the sales in the area. Sale prices were higher, 398 to 437. Lots are a bit bigger, so just a range of sales again. So for 2020, we have 397,000. Thank you.
Questions?
I have one question. So full basement means it's just like a regular basement, it's not a walkout?
Correct. Yeah, it's just a normal 2-story home.
Oh, that's it.
That's it for your questions?
That's it for my question, yeah.
Ivan?
What number are you looking for?
Well, she hasn't made her presentation.
Oh,
yet.
I see.
We'll go back to her. She'll give you that.
I'll get you
Right now,
later.
we're asking you.
Okay.
What number is he looking for? He's looking
He's
for,
looking for 397.
No, I have no questions for you.
no questions? Ken?
Is it more desirable, or is there more value with respect to having a walkout basement compared to a full basement? Sorry.
Yeah, walkout basements through sales, it's been shown that people are willing to pay for more. Basically, it's a third floor difference. You've got the full light compared to just a regular basement. You've got, remember, the 2x3 basement windows, whereas walkouts, it seems to be an attraction that people pay additional funds for. So, in this case, or a lot of the properties I've been on over the years, it's nice. It's a 3-story property. It's an attraction. So.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Your comparables on the first one, on 2019, they're all Bridgewater Center, right?
Yes.
So you're saying that that's a negative influence being in Bridgewater Center?
No, it wasn't negative. It was just that there wasn't.
So you're saying back lane, commercial, and adjacent?
Yeah, it
to-
was just.
But that's what people are moving there for, is exactly that reason, so they can be in Bridgewater Center.
I've heard both. Some people like the commercial properties nearby. Others. No, it's. I understand what you're saying. It's buyers look at it. There's some people look at it as a negative, some positive.
Okay. The, looking at the other comparables, 1 through 4, they're all the lake ones and walkouts, correct?
For 2020?
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, they all do have the walkout. The records show there's no developments lower level. The issue was the difference in square footage. That's the biggest.
Yeah,
I was in the Bridgewater Center. They did put up, they built larger homes, which you'll see it's a larger lot, slightly larger lot, but they.
But take, you've got Landover Drive there, that was haven't we done something with that one before?
The lady that was here
Yeah.
earlier, it was in, it's quite close to where I live, yes.
Yeah. And Landover Drive is coming in at $253 a square foot. Looks like it's pretty comparable, doesn't it?
Sorry, 48 Landover?
Yeah,
Did you say? Yes.
that looks like probably the best comparable. Does it not?
Yeah, especially being in Bridgewater Trails neighborhood versus the Bridgewater Center. So that would be the best comparable.
And then, you got the sales showing for 2018 at 340,000. Was that in April 1st, or, because you got it showing, so I've got to ask you the question. It must be if it's showing.
It very well could be. Generally, when it's prior to the reference, it's generated when we print the information, but I could be wrong. If it's post, I apologize for that.
I guess we'll find out when they make the presentation. Your presentation, please.
So,
Oh, after we start. After we pass the paper.
one of the things, just from listening to you guys, like saying that it had to be like from the April 1st, 2018, I have quite a few comparables here, so what I've done is I've circled the ones that are the correct, just so that you're not having to fish through everything there. So we took possession of our home July 2018, and just shy of 350. We didn't get any of the bells and whistles, so like I know that a home that sold, one of the ones on Landover, that sold the 24 on the top that I can't use, but I know for it sold for 403 recently, but it had wood floors, it had the fireplace, it had like the stainless steel backsplash, the granite countertops, and it was also considered more of, I think it was more of a considered of like a full front lake view, whereas we're in the corner there, so we lucked out when we purchased, one of the reasons we purchased ours is because we weren't considered lakefront. So it was $10,000 less than the homes that were a little bit farther in. That was one of the reasons we kind of liked we were quite happy. We lucked out with that. In the pictures, we showed 3 of them are of the basement, so you can see that it's unfinished. And then just showing our counter and then that we have a regular backsplash. One of the other things that when we're talking about sort of like influences, we're being in the corner there, we're right by a farm, so we get huge wind, we get these and quite high snow drifts. We're not considered like on the main drag, so when the snowplows come, we're not one of the first places that gets in. So there's actually been a couple of times in the past 2 years that we haven't been able to go to work, and we've spent a better part of a couple of hours helping like our neighbors push their cars out of their driveways because we can't get in. Like they do eventually plow us, but we're kind of like the afterthought, like we're not considered a main area. So that's been a bit of a negative influence of just being in that corner there, not having that cover that some of the other homes that are farther in are. I also know that our neighbors, it's not on here, but our neighbors that just sold theirs not that long ago, it was their one over, it was 122 Silver Creek. They have a finished basement, and their house was up on the market for quite a few months. They took it down, had to put it back up, and eventually with the basement, with a walkout and fully finished, it sold for $395. So that just kind of in itself, when we're being assessed for $397, and then we have an unfinished basement, and then they actually sold theirs for less because they couldn't find a market for it. It took them quite a while to actually sell. One of the other things that I had stated on here, that when we had first purchased the home, we were kind of led to believe that there was going to be a change with the Brady landfill, that it was going to be like dry, that's not the case. It's like I don't think that they might be moving it, but a little bit farther back. It's not going anywhere though. So quite a number of evenings, like over the summertime, like there is a pretty. It's usually around like when it gets to dusk. There's a pretty foul odor that we won't be able to be outside. We will stay in our homes because I will gag from the smell. So that's been that's also, I would say, is a bit of a deterrent. If I think about selling our home in the next year or so, about with the times of year when people usually sell their homes, it's springtime, right when the melt is, when like everything starts smelling really good, is a bit like it makes me a little bit nervous. Yeah, and then just like the comparables that I have on here, like there's a lot of, like everybody's kind of selling for around the 350, like 350s, 360s, and part of the reasons that theirs are a little bit more than ours is because they're considered more lakefront, or we're more in the corner there, so ours we purchased ours for a little bit less.
You have anything to add?
No, you got it all.
There you go.
He's the moral support.
There you go. You didn't need any. Mr. Strack.
Were you aware of the fact that the Brady landfill was there?
We knew it was there, but we were told that it was gonna be switched, that it was gonna be changed to dry. Like, it was like, so things like mattresses and things, not like actual like garbage. So like, that was one thing that I feel like we were maybe misled a little bit during the purchasing
Yeah.
process.
Okay.
I find it, and there's so many houses that are being built so close to it, and I'm like, oh my gosh.
Anyway, $1.5 million.
Yeah, I was like, oh dear, I just really feel for the people that are gonna be purchasing.
Doug, any other questions? Ken?
I grew up on a farm, you get used to it.
I don't mind the farm smell, I don't mind, it's not farm smell is perfectly fine, it's the garbage smell that kinda gets you, and it's not all the time, but it is, but when it's there, like,
Yeah.
we'll be on our bikes, we're like, oh, it's getting to that point, we'll start really gunning it home.
Yeah, we gotta get home at that point, otherwise it's gonna get us.
It gets pretty bad, so.
Won't be as bad this year. Ken?
So you paid $350,000 for the house?
I paid, let me see, we paid $349, I have it on there, you guys.
That's like after the taxes,
Yeah,
right?
after the-
Because we
yeah.
didn't get these granite countertops, we didn't get these stainless steel backsplash, the fireplace, installed, the finished basement, all the bells and whistles, right?
We did standards for
Standard.
everything, so yeah, we were just under, it was $349, something, like I said, I'm not seeing it where I'm looking to.
340,513.
Yeah, that one.
Okay, so. Cookies at the price, $340,000, $340,513.
That's correct, 340,513.
You paid for it?
We paid is that what the sale price? No, we
Well,
had.
that's what it says here.
That's what it said on the,
says here.
yeah, that's
We
what it was
paid-
registered as.
That's what it was registered as, so we have one, I did provide you, I don't know if you guys got this, we paid $349.90 is what we paid.
Okay, so what was the difference, besides taxes, the difference between what the city has, it assessed, or a state it has, what you paid? What was the difference, you know? Because they have it listed as $340,513. You have
That's
the
what
price
the-
at $340,000.
That's what the lawyer would have registered it as.
Matt, pretty sure this is.
Oh yeah, sorry, this is after all of the other,
All
all
the
those, sorry, this is after we paid everything into it, this was our final price, so once
The
the
lawyer fees.
lawyer and land transaction, let the
Okay,
land,
thank you.
yeah.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Ivan,
Now I can ask you.
now you can ask your question.
What number are you looking for?
I would say it would be, it would be nice if we could get, if we'd be doing something around like between the 360 and 370 would be lovely. I'd be happy with that, and I was like, but I just feel that the
397 is a little excessive.
that the 397 is a little high.
Well, you got two different years, so you're saying 360 on one, 370 on
Well,
the other.
and, yeah, no, that was very, just the difference, even the difference from like what it was assessed at the year before to this one, where we were pretty surprised by that,
Like
considering that.
the 376 you found was high for
Yeah.
that year because you paid 350.
Yeah,
And then the next one you say should be between 360 and 370. Is that what you're saying? I'm just trying to, I'm not putting words in your mouth, I'm trying to hear.
can you say that again?
350 was what I heard you
Was what
wanted for on the first one, for your 2019. And then
Okay.
360 to 370 was what you said for the 2020, correct?
No, okay, because I have two here, I understand. So I think that if we'd be looking for the 2019 one, or if we were doing like 360, and then for the 2021 around 370, I think that is a little bit more fair.
That answers your question. It's just I had two different numbers.
Yeah, no, thank you for clarifying.
Okay, we have no further questions.
Okay.
We will let you go. Thank you very much for coming.
Thank you so much, I really appreciate it.
and hopefully don't have to come back. And they are improving the landfill, it'll take a little
Yeah.
bit, they're just adding the extra berm now,
Mhm.
and when that's concluded, you won't
Yeah.
have it.
That'll be good, yeah, we were, and I'm sure that they are working on it, but it wasn't, that wasn't how it was brought to
Well,
us.
they're still getting fresh, but they gotta bury it within 24 hours too.
No.
Mr. Kilgore, you are up next. Where'd your better half go?
That's great.
Did your better half leave, or?
She had to move the car, you only get 2 hours parking.
Ah,
And
Yeah, we're gonna be sprinting to ours.
yeah, I saw I was number 12, so I said maybe pick up the sleeping bags just in case.
just in case I'm slow.
So she might join us.
Thank you.
I'm trying to, I know Mr. Kilgore from somewhere, it's driving me crazy.
Really?
I know it's gonna come to me, Doug, it's my age. You're okay that I knew him from my past life, right? He's not gonna remember me, I don't remember him.
I
You're
don't
good.
remember you told me that, so.
Good. We're both in the same boat, but it's for the camera, so they know. Because I know it's gonna come to us before the end. Do you wanna wait for your wife to get here? or-
No. She could be driving around looking for cars,
Oh,
I
okay.
don't know. I was kidding about the sleeping bags, so.
Okay, Doug, when you're ready. Oh,
Would you like
sorry,
to
guys.
swear the Bible?
Yes.
Yeah. So, please say your name.
Charles Davidson Kilburn.
Do you swear that the evidence you present is true to the truth and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do. Please.
Yes.
Good.
Geez, the area he's in, I might have sold him this house. 126 Montreal, what is that? When you're ready, Doug.
Okay. 126 Montreal Bay, 0802090380. Dakota Crossing Bungalow. 2001 it was built, 1250 square feet. Recent finish. It's got a record show, it's got a full basement. 3 washrooms, central air, attached garage. 7,400 square foot lot. To see the influences, bus route, corner, hydro transformer. I do not see yellow or green boxes by the driveway. Traffic influence applied. The comparables are all from Dakota Crossing as well. Bungalows, similar ages, square footage, full basements, basic finish, washroom, everything's pretty close. Comparable number 2, although it does have a fireplace. Lot sizes, 43 up to 7,400 square feet. Sales occurred 375,000 up to 392,000. The 2020 assessment roll there's a supplementary assessment, a result of, with a sunroom, I believe, for a 3-season sunroom.
That's good.
I wasn't the assessor who went out there. I don't have the full description, but that's where the supplementary notice came out to the owner for 408,000. Sales history over the years 2013, 380, 2007, and the original sale 2002. Thank you.
Do you have any questions, Mr. Kilgore?
Yes, I have some on the
the comparables that was just presented to me today. I note that comparable number 2 has a fireplace, which ours doesn't. I just want to mention that does make a fair difference. The other one on comparable number 4, the square footage is about 10% higher than ours. Just a quick look of this, my opinion is comparable number 1 and number 3 are probably the 2 best fit. Slight differences, but they're pretty close. The other thing I find, and I'll discuss this in my outline a little later, but it's saying that it's a bus route. It's an external corner, hydro transformer, and there's a telephone box in our side yard, and it says light traffic. It's not light traffic there anymore. John Forsyth is a very, very busy street. We have 2 different buses that come down there, city buses. We also have the school buses come down there. They stop right at our corner, which the kids usually, by that time, they've ridden the bus and they're ready to discard all their candy wrappers and everything. I'm responsible for cutting the grass there, and I have to do the boulevard and have to clean it first before it gets cut. That'll come up in my
Presenting it during question period here.
Pardon me?
You're presenting it during the question period.
Yes, but I just want to point those things out about comparables. And I noticed the sales month, this is basically my question to you, is the sales months are in 2016?
For example, the first one, February 2016.
Right. December 2016 for comparable 2, and June of 2017
Yes.
for number 3, and November of 2016.
Yes.
Were they not supposed to be 2018?
When we try and find comparables, try and narrow it down as close as we can.
Okay.
Square footage, features. That's why we've applied, you see the third line down by the sale prices, time adjusted sale price. We track the sale date, a factor up until April 1st, 2018. And that's where that time adjusted sale price comes in. If those hundreds of sales that occurred April 1st, 2018, that'd be nice, but we have to take a range of sales into consideration over a 2-year, in this case, generally it's a 2-year span that we use, and apply the time adjusted sale price.
Okay. All right, then that's fine. I'll come back to that.
Okay, we're going to ask our questions. Ken?
Okay, so just to understand, there was a 3-season sunroom addition, and that was at the house, this house?
Right.
Okay, and when was it added?
The
Addition?
value wise?
No, when was it added?
Oh, sorry.
Sorry.
The permit was issued April 2014.
14? So, was this completed and inspected since then? Like it was,
2014?
Yeah, the permit number is 1146140000, 2014. Issued April 2014 for sunroom.
No?
Has it been inspected since? Has someone seen this property?
employee who went to the property November 5th, 2019, and by the looks of it, he had just a discussion with the owner. There's no notes that an interior inspection of the property occurred. So possibly talk to him just at the door, that I can't confirm. There's no notes of an interior inspection. So,
I have no questions.
No questions.
That's good. How much did it increase the assessment by then? That would probably be about the value, wouldn't it? Seeing as you went back just for that?
This is,
Because it went for a sub.
379. Oh, sorry, that was the 2019 notice. Sorry, I've got too many papers here. The owner, I'm sure. can
The owner will
give
probably give us that information
Yeah,
when
I
he
know.
makes his presentation. We'll hear your presentation now.
Okay.
Doug got his already?
Yeah.
Perhaps wasn't Doug Wade?
No, he did.
Oh, he got it already. Okay. On with your presentation.
Okay. I've got a copy here of the 2020 assessment, which is for $408,000. It lists basically everything that's listed on here. No problem with that, except on page A2. There's the property influences, light traffic, external corner, bus route, hydro, transfer, and telephone. It's not light traffic anymore, it's heavy traffic. And ends up being a racetrack on any night between 4 and 6. Motorcyclists love it because John Forsyth is a long street and they boot it all the way down to the end. Page B is just an older copy that I had when I purchased the house, when we purchased the house. At any rate, two different assessment notices were sent to me in February and June of 2019, sorry, that's a typo. 2019, that I, for $398,000, and had no explanation on it as to why it had gone up by $19,000. So I could only assume my house and property were compared to recent sales of similar properties which had a sunroom, as sunrooms were not recorded on the assessment records on the internet. I have no way of knowing which properties are comparable to mine on the 2020 assessment year. Some of my comparables were verified visually by driving past them, but oftentimes you can't tell whether it's got a sunroom or not. I got a further assessment in November of 2019 for the $10,000 for the sunroom, which I already assumed was in the $19,000. So it's too late to appeal the $19,000, so I had no choice but to appeal the $10,000 for the sunroom to bring the property back in line with other comparables. I can't agree that the market value of our 126 Quantrell would be 408. And after receiving this new assessment in November, I felt I had no choice but to appeal the 10,000 assessment. If you provide me the comparables that justify this, I'd be happy to research them. I have done them and I've spoken briefly about them. And I think comparable 1 and comparable 3 are the best fit from 2016. Now, when I did my comparison to properties, which is page D, no, page E, I guess it is. Yeah, page E, 1 and 2. I was comparing it with the similar properties near me, and pretty well everything that I could find near our property was much lower than 400,000, unless they were 2 stories or unless they were custom-built houses. Our house is basically a Qualico house. I wasn't able to get a picture of it, but we have a calendar here if you want to pass it around, if they want to look at it. It's a pretty basic house. There's an awful lot of them in that South San Vital area, and they're really a cookie cutter and not very fancy, but anyways, I'll carry on with this. I've been able to compare my property with 20 or over seemingly similar properties in my area, and there's not one exactly the same, but allowing for the small differences, if you average out the single-story homes, it's nowhere near the value of 408,000. If I compare my residents with the sales data printout that I got off the internet, and I've attached that, I'll give you the number of that in a minute here. That's page F1 and 2 and 3, I believe. Yeah. I've outlined some of the ones that I got off the internet from the sales, and there's 5 on our bay. One is a 2-story, one's a bi-level, and the others are 1 stories, and the 1 stories aren't over 400,000. We've had previous increases. There was an increase in 2016 of the assessment for $8,000, and at that time I assumed that was for the sunroom. It showed no explanation on the assessment notice. Following that, I received the 2 notices for the 2020, raising the assessment to 19,000 to 398, which again had no explanations for the increase. And I expected that had something to do with the sunroof going up that much at one time. The assessments that I got later in November, they do specify it was for the sunroom. But again, it was too late to appeal the $19,000 assessment. I basically had to fall back and appeal my $10,000 assessment for the sunroom. Now I got the assessments for the 18 and 19 year, and they rebilled me back for those, and I paid those because my $19,000 assessment increase hadn't gone through at that point. The house was built in 2001. It's 19 years old. It's not a custom built home. It's standard Qualico. It originally built on a 42-foot frontage, and as a lady previously explained, there's just nowhere to put your snow when you have a bad winter. The last 2 years haven't been too bad because we get some melting through. But 3 years ago, I was getting to the point I was going to have to get a front-end loader or something to come in and take it off the short little piece that we have. I'm not sure if that picture gives it any justice or not. Many years ago, it may have been light traffic. It's heavy traffic now on John Forsyth, used by 2 different routes of the Winnipeg Transit in each direction, plus many school buses twice daily. We also get noise from the perimeter. We're not far from the sewage lagoon that pumps sewage there. Get occasional odor from that. And won't go into that again. I asked the Board of Revision to reduce my 2020 assessment by $10,000 back to the original assessment notice that I received in February, and then I also received one in June showing $398,000. Thank you.
Doug, questions?
The sunroom was at, I missed what you said before, is it a 3-season?
Yeah,
3 seasons on that? And
it's aluminum. mostly glass.
Okay. And when was it actually completed?
I thought it was 2015,
Okay.
summer of 2015.
Okay. I have further questions.
I had that written down somewhere.
Ivan?
Have you done any big renovation on your property in the last few years?
A roof. The sunroom was the biggest thing. And carpeting. We basically need to do the kitchen shortly because it's 20 years old, it's getting dated. The fence also is from all the frost and everything. It's up, down, so forth. Gonna have to look into that soon. And the driveway is dropping. And so when you come in the driveway to get into the garage, you go over about a 2-inch lip now. Doesn't show it on that picture, but I think that picture was taken in 18.
Okay.
Ken?
Yeah, you have some sales data here in page F1. These other properties on Quanto Bay.
Yeah, right, I have those highlighted with yellow.
Yes.
Yes, right.
Do they have some rooms?
Do they have sunrooms? Let's see if I can tell. Where's that? Just be patient with me here. Let's see, three Quantel. I don't believe so, no, not to my knowledge.
Okay, that's fair.
But number 3, you'll notice it is fairly high. And the big difference between it and our house, number 3 is 1,540 square feet for the house.
When you say which address?
That's information comes from page E1.
E1?
Yeah, just slide back to that.
Right.
Number 3 Quantel is about 3/4 of the way down the page.
Okay, can you just repeat yourself?
Yeah, okay.
Thanks.
Number 3 Quantrell,
Yes.
their 2020 assessment is 416,000.
You don't go by the assessment
That's
or
right.
anything.
Okay, so this is a
That's an assessment or a sale?
sale,
That's an assessment. The sale is on page F1.
F1.
And what is it? 413.5, it says. Time adjusted would be 420. But again, it's a very, very large house. 7 rooms. And
Your house was 12,500, excuse me, 12,054 square
1252 or
feet.
something like that, I think it was.
12,000, yeah.
Yes, sir.
1254.
You spoke. 1254.
Number 7 on page F1. Number 7 Quantrell B is a 1-story. And this says, let's see, the date, no, that's the roll number, building, sales year. Sales year for number 7 is 2017. And it was 375,000 was the sale price according to this. So that's, below what I'm asking for. 50 Quantel Bay was, sale year was 2016. Now, I don't know why that didn't appear on here, but on yours. But at any rate, this says it was sold in 2016 for 365. That's on page F1 of my sheet. And 66 Quantrell Bay is another one I looked at. And sale year was 2016 for 368,000.
But we don't know if these have
Yeah.
sunrooms.
No,
Okay, thank you.
I might be able to tell you. It depends whether I could see into the backyard. I don't think I detected any, no.
Thank you.
No. And 66, no, I didn't detect any sunrooms on them, so in that case, they were slightly less than ours, but according to this printout, they're all quite a bit lower. So all I'm saying is, I wasn't informed in time to appeal the $19,000 increase. You only had, what, 2 or 3 weeks after you received your, so this was my only way of doing it. And I ask for your consideration,
Thank you very much.
okay?
Well done. Now you can see if you can catch up to your wife.
Yeah.
If she's still driving around the block.
Now, let's see, where's the casino? Would it be Transcona?
Transcona would be the closest. Well, no, maybe they're both the same from here. Yes, we'll take 5 minutes.
Thank you very much for your time.
It's gonna take 5 minutes. We got one more to do, so don't leave that. We don't need that on. Oh, yeah, we do.
Yeah.
One more time. Yes, are we done? Did you have any text or messages from the property at 150 Tenant?
I did not.
Did you? No? Read it on. Just the address and the
150 tenant date 050094265110, 2-story, Leland North, 2020 assessment, 442,000.
questions. Do you have any questions? Do you have any questions?
No questions.
What's the sub for?
Who's a new house?
Was it brand new house?
Yeah.
Okay, good enough, new house. Thank you very much. That concludes the matters for today. Doug, we'll see you next month.